Hello, everybody. Welcome to One Drink Podcast, where we talk about one topic for one drink. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Oliver.
Oh, you're looking at me. Wow.
And you are?
Well, I thought, so as soon as I looked, I hear the pause, and where's the guest introduction? No, but here I am. Hi, I'm Chris Lindstrom. We're in the Food About Town studio recording an episode of...
You want to redo that?
No.
Okay.
No,
Never. We never redo. There's no redos.
No, this is podcasting.
There's no redos in podcasting.
Oh, well, we're
That's the great thing about it.
yeah. No, so it's like, I was like, wait, I forget. Do they intro a guest with an actual thing? Okay.
You intro your own self.
I was like, wait a second. I was looking, like, everybody's staring. Everybody's looking at me. I'm starting to shrink in my chair.
Start to get that feeling. You're like, do I have pants on or do I not have pants on?
Yeah, I'm a delicate flower. I'm just like, I'm crumbling in my seat. Just insecure, ready for the next thing.
That's funny.
So, hi, everybody. Yeah, so we're recording in the Food About Town studio today, and thrilled that you guys came over and doing an episode of your show. This will be cross-posted on my feed as well, which I'm really excited about. And met you guys at Homegrown.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, what a cool festival that was, man. We met so many amazing people, and I was so used to going to that festival with a restaurant, because I was in the restaurant business for like 17 years.
Where'd you work?
I was the GM at JB Quimby's for 10, and then a bunch of little other places along the way. But I was always at that festival with Quimby's.
Okay,
so.
Kind of place does a ton of volume and a ton of food for the people kind of place.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, COVID ended Quimby's run of 22 years, but. In the time that we were there, man, it was amazing. We did so many festivals, and we did Homegrown, we did Hometown Throwdown, we did all those for years and years at Love and Cup. So
that's awesome. I mean, what a great host.
So cool to be back there, but in such a different way than I was used to. Like with the podcast. So it was really cool.
Yeah, and that was my first time at
Oh,
Homegrown.
really?
Yeah. So I was introduced to everything, so it was fun.
It's a bit overwhelming though, isn't it?
For your first time,
yeah,
being there, yeah, but a lot of great people and a lot of great food and a lot of great drinks.
Yeah, and it was kind of an overwhelming day in a lot of ways. I mean, there was so much positivity.
Oh yeah,
there all day. Like, I'm so passionate about all the things that I do, but like at the end of the day, I don't get emotional much about it. But at the end of the day, man, I was spent, and I got emotional about the day, just talking to everybody at the end and how rewarding of a day it was, getting to spend time and meet so many cool people. And it was like, and now getting a chance, we're looking at new partnerships because of Homegrown and new opportunities that I didn't know we were going to have. And it was just the kind of event where everybody comes away just so positive.
Yeah. Yep. And the same for us is like, we went there as a podcast, not knowing, how we were going to be received or, we didn't know what was going to happen, but, everyone was great to us. We met a lot of people, and then we met you and we're here now. So,
yeah, it was crazy though. Cause we assumed that, we'd go there, be able to promo ourselves a little bit, get some content in for Leslie, and just sort of hang out for the day. We definitely didn't expect to meet the amount of people that we did, with so many opportunities coming, to us with, different shows and, people that wanted to be a part of it and all this kind of stuff. And we definitely didn't expect to meet, another podcaster. Actually, we met two. Because we met you and
Matt Wilson.
Yes. And he was fantastic.
From Grill This, man. What a just a giant personality. Just everything about him just exploded when he was big when he was a big personality when it wasn't on, but as soon as he clicked the record, I'm like, ooh, right. Yeah. This guy's got that. He's got that huge radio energy kind of thing.
Oh, definitely. He definitely has that energy.
I do not. I am NPR-esque. I can do some laughs. I can do a little bit of, the classic guy talk angle kind of stuff, which that's kind of what I learned on was, listening to that stuff and how I learned to be conversational and do all this fun stuff. But when you hear somebody who's radio trained, you hear that radio trained, there's a certain...
He's good. I mean, his questions... His, enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's definitely the rhythm. You just said that. Definitely the rhythm for sure is is definitely what I got off of him too, and just ease of doing it. You know, it was like he was just taking a breath. You know,
for sure. Yeah, because I think I'm recording with him and his partner next weekend.
Nice.
Out in Batavia for some reason. I guess that's where we're recording is Batavia. But if I'm driving, where's Albion? Somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, in Albion or something out there.
Because when I go out though, I'm definitely going to go visit some of the traditional Mexican food out that way, which like amazing traditional Mexican food out in like Albion and Medina.
Yep.
You can there's real awesome Mexican grocery stores and taquerias and stuff out there.
Cool.
That'll just blow your mind. If you haven't driven out there to Lorenzo's Mexican Products in Albion or Monte Alban grocery store in Medina.
Oh, wait, don't they have a Monte Alban here?
Different family.
Okay.
So whole different thing.
Got it.
You know, it's a pretty common, you'll see it in like tons of different cities. You'll see it in Monte Alban.
Oh, all right.
So this is a grocery store in taqueria out there that's more seasonal outside. The other one's inside and is tremendous. If anybody listening hasn't been out there to try real traditional Mexican food, make the drive. It's worth your time.
And I always, you're always like, let's go get Mexican food. And then, you've tried everywhere in Rochester and you're always like, I want to get some real traditional Mexican food,
Oh,
and the way you just promoted it.
Oh,
I'm already driving.
And I love Mexican food too. And I just...
Well, this is my blessing and this is my curse. Every time I record with somebody or we're talking about food, they're like, "Oh man, I really want to eat some stuff."
Stomach's rumbling already.
It's just how it always goes because I think I care so much about making sure people get to love Rochester in a way that they get to learn about what Rochester really is, and I think you get in your groove of what you're doing. You get in the groove of going to the same places and doing the same kind of things. And there's so much we have to offer. And if you don't go out and do the work and find all the cool places, you're only getting a sliver of what Rochester is.
100%.
Especially if you're a suburbs person and you don't spend time going to everywhere that the city has to offer.
Yeah.
We have so much, which is natural plug time.
Right.
Now that's what you do, right? With Nominate, you pick these restaurants and you
absolutely. Yes. So basically
share their stuff.
Yeah,
right?
this was my natural. See, you saw that pivot?
Oh yeah. No, I could feel it. I was like, oh look, we're gonna take a right turn now into Nominate. Here we go, and ease it on back. There we go.
See, that's like I've done so much of it. It's like, oh, we're gathering to the plug right now.
Yep.
So it's so we started Nominate about 2 years ago and change. So we're a little over 2 years in to running Nominate. We were called Curate before until we got cease and desist letter from a place in Buffalo.
Oh, fun.
Oh yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah.
So we had to change our name at the end of last year. So now we're Nominate Meals, but we're using it to better re-engage our customers and ask them to nominate restaurants that we can use and stuff like that. But basically what we do every other week at Three Heads, we run an event where we buy a whole bunch of food from one small minority-owned restaurant, typically like 85% of the time, where our customers buy a meal for two for $35 or $40, but they have no idea what they're getting till they pick it up. So you kind of have to be up for an adventure, and it allows us to be more adventurous without... You have to leave a little bit of your preconceived notions behind when you go do it.
Right.
And part of why we don't tell people is we don't want people not buying when we're doing something that's a little bit outside of their comfort zone.
Right.
And we don't want them buying more when they get a little bonus. Maybe it's nosh one time. But we don't want more people buying because of that. That doesn't help
defeats
us.
Yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose of where you're trying to go with everything.
Yeah, because like the last one we did, we just did Swan Market for the second or third time, German restaurant in the city.
Never heard of it.
Delicious.
Oh my God, yeah.
Delicious.
Ooh.
So it's old school German. So it's an old school German butcher shop over on Parcells Ave. So right off of Culver, real easy to get to. But it kind of, it's emblematic of that kind of thing. Like, it's one of the staples of Rochester. Been here for forever. But I mean, how long you been in Rochester?
It's funny. He's been here forever.
He's been here forever. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
been around as long as you have.
I've been
probably
here for
longer.
40 plus.
And
years.
it's been here for 40 plus years. But it's a truly excellent, and it's the German community here, not nearly as much as in Buffalo or other places like that, but it lives there, and he's making so many things from scratch every day. He's making 2-3 different kinds of head cheese. He's making multiple kinds of bologna. He's doing smoked hams. He's doing all this stuff in-house, and prices are wildly reasonable. Like, Barry Fisher is a really good guy and doing amazing work there. But it's the kind of place that's a great example. Or when we serve Vietnamese food, right? We get to go into Lyle Ave and Mount Reed. I worked in that neighborhood for 6 years. I got to know so many places and small businesses in the neighborhood that I got a chance to really understand more about the different areas of the city. This was after I was already writing restaurant reviews in city newspaper and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I got a chance to explore and visit, all the different Puerto Rican spots and Jamaican spots that the city has to offer.
There's a lot of good Spanish Puerto Rican spots.
Oh my God. We just worked with a new place over on Main Street, and it is going out of my head right now. I'm going to look it up. But while I'm looking it up, talk about Jamaican stuff. We have over a dozen Jamaican restaurants here in Rochester.
Yeah, so I went to my first Jamaican restaurant. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. It was over on, anyways, I'll remember it in 10 minutes, and I'll just randomly blurt it out.
Of course.
But it was a flavor explosion.
100%. Well, there's...
Oh my God, it was amazing.
It's hard to beat. Oh, Casa Campo. It's over on Culver and Main. Right past the Dollar Tree, right on Main Street. Is the one I worked with recently. But there's so many, from El Pilon over on North Clinton and Avenue A to Mi Viejo San Juan and Norton and Joseph, and so many amazing places that are serving the community well. Mm-hmm. And it's how do you beat those places? Livy's Jamaican over on Chilide. Better Choice over on Brooks. Peppa Pot on Main. These places.
That's
Peppa
it.
Pot.
Peppa Pot. That's it.
That's
it. I knew it. As soon as he started rattling off names of places, I was like, it's got to be in here at some point.
I knew I was going to get there for you. That's it. I was doing your background research because I have a computer in front of me doing my Google Maps search.
It's perfect.
So how do you pick these places?
Oh, geez. So usually, I have a pretty encyclopedic knowledge of Rochester food. So I know almost everywhere, especially those kind of restaurants. But, I'll keep on asking people. It doesn't matter who it is. I will always ask about what's the place that means a lot to you. That's, a small family owned restaurant that's doing great work.
Yeah.
There was a guy, I was getting my car repaired, and I went to the rental car place, and the guy picks me up.
Yeah.
So I talked to the guy and hey, what's going on? And I think the first thing, what kind of restaurants do you go to? Where do you like to eat? First one I think he said was, because, I'm a white guy. He is not a white guy.
Yeah.
He says, love Roadhouse. I'm like, cool. What about not Roadhouse? Or what the steak place? Am I using not the right one?
Texas
Roadhouse. Yeah. So, and I'm like,
not the one with Swayze, right?
Yes. He's like, I love throwing people out of bars. Huge fan.
The double dose.
I would go to the Roadhouse if a place opened up and it was just called the Roadhouse.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Aren't they?
I'm there.
They're remaking that right now,
Which I think is just such a mistake.
What,
with
the movie?
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah,
the movie.
Yeah, the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal,
and he's like an MMA fighter in it because they just had him I don't watch actively anymore, but I saw pictures of him at the most recent UFC event, and he is shredded to 5% body fat. Yep. He's tore up. He's not a creep like he is in Nightcrawler, and what a creep he is in that movie.
So for me, and I don't know, there's got to be movies that you just don't redo.
No, there's definitely a list,
and that's one of them. You just don't redo Roadhouse. Mm-hmm. You keep that as is. Yeah, come on.
It's a lot of them, man. You just gotta leave well enough alone, and just don't remake them.
They really should bolt a mullet onto his head for the whole movie, though.
That would be sweet.
My God,
just a straight
fantastic.
80s, in modern times, just bolt an 80s mullet onto his head.
I would 100%.
Or just delay production until he has time to fully grow his own authentic one. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I thought you guys were making the new Roadhouse. Well, we had to halt production. Why? Well, we're waiting for the growth of Jake Gyllenhaal's mullet.
Yeah. Right. We're keeping everybody on ice for like months as he grows out this hair. We're paying everybody millions of dollars.
Yep. He's going through botanical treatments as we speak to increase the follicle strength.
And I will not watch that movie.
I won't either.
We call it the Swayze procedure. Yeah. That's what we call it.
It's getting Swayzed.
The JCV, you can also get the JCVD. It's just a little bit different. You get a really awful accent when you do it, a bad American accent when you do the JCVD, but you get the hair and you can do the splits. Yeah. Which, how do you beat that?
Right. I like it.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
So I've taken this right off the rails.
Perfect. That's pretty much how all of our shows go. If anybody has ever watched our shows, they pretty much know that at some point our shows take a hard left.
Yeah,
a hard left.
We're turning hard already. Yeah. Speaking of which, guys, what's in your glasses? Like we're drinking stuff because I want to make sure everybody. We're honoring the concept. We're honoring the one drink because we're here, and I have so much stuff I love to share.
And that you do.
Well, it's funny though, because here comes the plug again.
Yeah. Ooh. See, it's more natural when you say you're gonna do it because everybody's like, "Man, what is that guy doing?" Like, I'm gonna do now, guys. I'm gonna
plug this right now.
Yeah.
So I am drinking the jam-filled cookie sour. From Three Heads, which
very nice.
I'm a huge sour. I'm a huge sour guy. I love that sound bite. By the way, I think we had like a whole tangent on our show that was probably 15 minutes long about that noise. Yeah, we the whole show itself was about like the most recognizable noises.
For sure.
That can get made.
Yeah,
and it was like a tournament.
That's one of them.
I love to get a chance to use this. So I interrupted your plug.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But we have talked endlessly on our show about Three Heads. I know that you were just saying, talking about them as well, and have a deep relationship with them too. Mine started long ago in the restaurant business. We did our very first beer dinner when we introduced them at Quimby's. We did our first beer dinner with them. And we've done events and tastings and all kinds of stuff. I love all those guys over there. All four heads.
Yeah.
Not just the three. I'm not just limiting myself to the three. I love all four of them. But it's funny though. So all those guys. So there's Jeff, Todd. Who was the other bald one?
I actually don't know the other guys that well.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I know the bar manager Dave, and I know Jeff.
So everybody knows him as Skip.
Okay.
I know him as Brian. And anyone that worked at or went to Quimby's always called him Brian. Mm-hmm. But to the entire world, he's Skip. And it's so funny when people talk to me about it. They're like, "Oh, did you see Skip?" And I'm like, "No, I who?"
So weird.
And I'm like, "Oh, do you mean Brian?" Yeah, I know Brian.
Oh, I know him.
It's so weird. Somebody was actually talking about somebody named Skip over there last night.
Yeah, it's Brian.
I was at where was I at? I was at the Sheffield talking to my buddy over there who works there. And somebody brought up the name Skip. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like this is like apparently a thing.
Yep.
Who knew?
Yep. Yeah, that's his nickname, and that's basically what everybody in Rochester, like 99% of people in Rochester, know him as. But to me,
next time I see him,
he just absolutely doesn't look like a Skip. Oh, dude, if you just yell out Skip when you see him, he'll totally turn around. That's more people call him Skip than Brian. But it was so funny because it was just at Quimby's.
Yeah.
It was Brian. So and it was so funny.
That's all I know.
But yeah, so I'm drinking this delicious raspberry jam-filled cookie sour.
Yeah, my wife picked that
provided
up the other
day. by our gracious host here.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
Good. So I am drinking the the double pale ale.
Another Three Heads.
Another Three Heads.
Wait for it. This you know what it's all about? It's all about timing. And now, oh no,
That was on there too. Yeah. That one was in that tournament bracket. Oh my God, we'll have to send you the link for that show because it's literally all these sounds. It's so fantastic.
Funny. I'm nothing if not hacky. Like this is my thing.
Oh yeah,
that was perfect. But
it's the only way to be.
Everywhere, like most of the times when I go out in Rochester, anywhere I go, I always get the kind.
Yeah,
always. Like, my girlfriend is always like, "You're gonna try something new," because she tries new stuff all the time, and I'm just like,
"No, I'm not.
Can I get the kind?" And we go to one bar in Henrietta all the time, and right away,
they just hand it to you.
They just hand it to me, just like he used to at when he worked at Quimby's.
Yeah,
it was just 3 heads the kind, bam.
One, it's so consistent and excellent, and Two Kind, I have to say, is like dead nuts to style. It's right on what a good West Coast, what a good West Coast double IPA is. And the thing that they crush every time is the prices are so stupid cheap.
I know.
For how good it is, and I will continue. I am an acolyte of what they do. They host 2 of our events every month on Wednesdays, and they are just the best group of people that you could ever work with. So in my glass, I have a single barrel wheat whiskey from Wiggle Distilling in Pittsburgh, right in the Strip District in Pittsburgh, which has gone through so many changes over the last 5 to 10 years, where it's turned from real hard industrial and just food for everybody, but not more old school. And now it's turning over with a ton of money. And the Wiggle Distillery, which is one of the OG craft distilleries, and they're still a craft distillery now. They're very experimental, and this is a wheat whiskey, a 6-year-old single barrel wheat whiskey.
Sounds
like exactly what a cold, snowy Saturday needs.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Because it's got a little bit of that porridgey smell. It's got good cinnamon, a little bit of herbaceousness. It's really delightful.
Nice.
Very tasty.
Mm-hmm. Especially on these crap cold days that we got. I mean, I call it crap, but I mean, as far as winters go, we've been so very lucky this year in terms of Rochester winters.
Oh yeah, we've been doing one event a month out in Buffalo, and we had to postpone one of them because
they were buried under 80 inches of snow. Yeah, unreal.
We had to postpone that one by a few weeks. But we actually worked with a place recently called La Verdad, that is a place that purports to be Buffalo style barbecue. So it's got a bit of a soul food vibe to it. And they do things a little bit of their way in calling it Buffalo style barbecue, which they 100% deserve. Great group of people, but they actually do it out of their ministry space in Buffalo. So They're doing catering out of that space. And that's hey, that's not for me, but they're also doing things the right way. During the snow event, I think they brought in 150 people into their space, people who were unhomed and people who needed to be safe. They brought all those people in, they fed them all and got people safe during what was a very, awful situation out there, but they did all the, everything that people say they're going to do.
Yeah.
They stood up and they did that for the community.
That's awesome.
So I love shouting them out because they're doing the work, and also the food's delicious. That killed in our event when we worked with them.
Yeah.
Because we're looking from afar going to Buffalo, and I drive out a couple times a month and just visit 6-8 places in a day and just keep on hammering through. What can I find that's interesting? Man, I found a Nigerian place that I'm super excited to work with out there. It got me excited.
I was gonna say out in Buffalo, it's obviously, I'm assuming, bigger than Rochester.
Yeah.
So there's got to be way more restaurants for you to go and, explore.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different too, because every city's different, right? In Rochester, we're very different than Buffalo. Yeah. We're sister cities in so many different ways, but the attitudes are different.
Yeah.
So I have an overarching theory. I love overarching theories. I think that Buffalo hates everybody that doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But they love themselves, and they think they're going to succeed.
Yes.
So everything that happens, they think it's going to succeed. Mm-hmm. Rochester hates everybody that doesn't like it. We hate ourselves, and we think nothing's going to win, and we think we're better than we are.
Facts.
I
agree with that. I agree with all that.
And I think it's good. The reason I say it, and the reason I've come to start saying is because I think it's a bit of a problem with who we are, that we're less positive about Rochester than we should be.
Yeah.
And I know that's something you guys focus on a lot with the show.
Oh yeah. So that's one of the reasons, we started the show, is because, we just wanted to do something different, and we wanted to do something fun and positive. And, we picked weird, crazy subjects to talk about, and
yep. And I mean, one of our big highlights too, which we didn't even intend when we started this show, we started to focus on highlighting small local businesses, be it restaurants or breweries or little shops, like the Bodega on Park Ave, which turns out to have phenomenal sandwiches.
You ever been there?
No, yeah, Mark Kuplo does a great job, and I know he's not running it day to day, but he's part of the ownership team with Rocco and I'm forgetting the seafood place off the top of my head, and I feel terrible. But seafood place on the corner where Rocco is.
Yeah.
Rella, really good spot doing coastal, not like high end seafood, but it's really comfort seafood in many different ways. Mark's a really good restaurateur here in town.
Yeah.
But
so, highlighting and focusing on, small local businesses, whatever you do, whether it's, making jewelry like the Beautiful Mess does, easy plug there, or making, homemade cashew butters, like Bravely by Jack's, another plug.
Nice.
We love focusing on all that kind of stuff. So, and just, bringing out the best of what the small business world has in Rochester.
Yeah. And it's, I think part of what turns out to be really rewarding about doing all this stuff is if we're doing a thing that's benefiting someone else other than just ourselves.
Oh yeah.
It makes you feel a lot better about what you're doing. Yeah, of course it's like, when you're donating to charity, it is about making you feel good. That's part of why you do it. And being transparent about that is a positive thing. And like, hey, like I have shows record out of the studio where they needed studio space, and I was like, I can offer that to you. Like I can offer you studio space. And we have a couple different shows that record out of here. Representation in Cinema, hosted by Jackie McGriff from the Our Voices Project. She's a local photographer and director doing films. So they record their show out of here, which is tremendous. And then Behind the Glass podcast talking about the gallery that's in the Sibley building downtown, the Mercantile on Main. Hosted by Richard Colon and Quajay Donnell. They bring in 3 different photographers or artists every time, and
that's cool.
Get to show them off, and I think they do it like first Friday. But they get a beautiful crowd out there, and it's wide ranging, and just a lot of people that want to look at cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I get the chance to meet all the photographers coming in, and we get to host that here in the studio, which is so much fun.
You spoke about the Sibley building there, the Mercantile.
Yeah.
We just did a charity event there, hosted by an organization called Good People Deserve Wins Too.
Okay.
They hosted a Queen of Hearts casino night.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and it was amazing. So we met them at Homegrown too. Another connection made from Homegrown. But they brought us out to this beautiful event. It was the weekend leading up to Valentine's Day.
Yep.
And they had like 7 casino style tables. Everybody, with their ticket got $500 in chips. So they could play, and then you could turn your chips in for prizes that they had donated from sponsors. They had a fantastic band, which was
the Cool Club and the Lipskin Sisters.
Lipsker Sisters.
Yeah.
So many consonants.
It's such a difficult name to say, but they sounded phenomenal. It was a great band, great night, great drinks. It was. Man, we were blown away. They had a couple of the drag queens from Roar come down.
Oh, awesome.
So we had them on the show, and they gave us a beautiful space to set up our show, and we did live interviews with some people, and it was unreal.
Yeah, we
did
unreal. Interview with a fashion designer.
Yep, yeah, with Leonardo, a local fashion designer.
Oh, yep. see, that's what when you came in today, I'm like, man, I'm pretty sure I've heard them do the show, but based on what they're wearing, they must be a fashion podcast first.
And it's funny too. So it's funny that we're both wearing these shirts, right? Because we rolled out our new logo, which are on the 2 shirts that we're currently wearing for Homegrown.
Yeah.
And so I was going through and I was like, all right, what shirt am I going to wear? And I was like, okay, we're going to another podcast. I was like, let me rep, our podcast.
Gotta represent.
So I get over to his house this afternoon, and he opens the door, and I'm like, dude, nice ODP shirt. And I like unzip my jacket and like flashed him with mine. So we didn't actually plan on matching, but we do. So
gotta do.
We'll have to get you one.
Sounds good.
We'll have to get you one.
So like you're doing the live thing. So we're kind of hybridizing this show, by the way. I think at this point it's pretty obvious. Like we're kind of bouncing around. But when you guys are doing the show, what's the one for you that kind of grabbed you in a way you didn't expect? That was either illuminating, you learned something you didn't know. That was like, oh, this changed the way I think about things.
Well, I liked all of them, really. Yeah. The thing you say about learning something for every show.
Yeah.
Every live show we did, something went wrong.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're still learning
100%
how to do live shows.
Yeah, sure. Whether it was, we plugged the cord into the wrong thing or something didn't record or I didn't hit record before we started a show or I thought I clicked on it, you know what I mean? But, the pad on the laptop doesn't quite click enough, so... I just had to look over and make sure that I was actually recording.
I saw the nervous
hit a panic moment.
I saw the nervous head turn, and it's like I just like a little tremble in your neck.
Yeah, I start to twitch because I got PTSD from not hitting the record button like 7 times since we started this show.
Yeah, but the one that sticks out to me the most was the Good People Deserve Wins too.
Yeah,
just the story alone, Nellie's passion for what she did for the kids. And that one for me was kind of like the
So a quick summary of that.
No, please.
They did it to benefit a local traveling basketball team that didn't have any more money to continue playing basketball. A 15-year-old team and a 16-year-old team.
Okay.
So they didn't have any money. So they did a 24-hour walk, and then they did this casino night. So long story short, they ended up going to the tournament in Florida.
Yep.
The 15-year-old team won it undefeated, and the 16-year-old team lost first round, but then came back and won.
Yep.
Ended up winning like second place or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like the story. I told him I said you guys should talk to like a screenwriter about this. I was like, because there's how many sports movies have you seen over time? And
how many of them are starring Adam Sandler?
Well, that too.
You know what I mean? Like it's nuts. So
he would make an appearance.
It was such a crazy story.
Yeah.
But
that's
that
awesome.
story
cool.
was.
I think for me though, the shows that hit me the most is we've broken off and done different types of shows.
Sure.
In addition to our main show, which is technically kind of about nothing. Or something
it's
that
perfect.
we just pick randomly, yeah.
But
we broke off and did a history show.
Awesome.
And we would do that every week as well. We probably did, close to 100 history shows.
Oh, that's awesome.
But in the midst of that one week we did, for our main show, we did a show about Medal of Honor stories.
Okay.
And then we liked those stories so much that we ended up doing a whole entire separate show just about Medal of Honor stories. So we would each pick one. He started at the back of the alphabet. I started at the front of the alphabet. Not really knowing in the beginning that there were like 3,300 medals of honor that have been awarded since the medal came up. But those stories hit me the most by far.
Absolutely.
And they're all like, sometimes when we're reading these and, talking about them, I could never imagine doing what they did.
Oh,
but it also like I'll get chills.
Oh yeah,
and I'm just like
absolutely.
And then when he's talking about some of his, like I'll just it's like
you get goosebumps.
You get the movie running through your head as well. So it's like, yeah, those are fun. I mean, we're still going to continue to do those. Mm-hmm. We have 2,500 left.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah, it's the easy one. So you meet in the middle at M at your retirement.
Yep. Well, I mean, it took almost all the shows to get out of A's. So he blasted through Z's pretty quick, and I think got in somewhere to W. But then
he's the professional. He starts at the back. He's making so much more progress.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I'm still on all the A's.
Yeah. A. Aronson.
Right.
Andrews.
Yeah.
Andrews.
A. Ron.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. Yeah, and it's so. Yeah, all that stuff is because I've been doing. I just started doing a little sub show on the channel with my buddy Matt Knotts, who runs the Anomaly Film Festival. Great guy to talk to, by the way. They run a Anomaly Film Festival, and we're part of a local We have a little local podcast network called Lunchador Podcast Network. We have a bunch of really interesting people trying to do good stuff together.
Yeah.
But he and I just started doing a little sub show. We're just calling Better Together.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Like how do we do better as men for our families and for the stuff we're doing. And I think it kind of encapsulates how I've been thinking about everything recently is like when we're doing stuff together and building things with others in mind, I think that's how I'm feeling more satisfied in what I do.
Yeah.
And it seemed like an opportune time to start talking about some of that stuff and like, hey, not just because we can do guy talk radio all day long. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
It's like, where's the laser sound? Like,
we don't want to hit the button.
Stop it. Yeah.
We're definitely getting this.
Yeah, I'm a bad influence is what I am. So yeah, it's like, because we just started that. We did one a couple weeks ago, just came out last week or so. But we'll be doing it probably once a month for now, where we're just talking about like, how do we do better so we can be there and, you know, be the people we want to be in our journey. And I'm going to keep on doing the food interviews too, because I love doing that, but everything's sporadic because, you know, life is crazy, life is busy, and it's hard to keep a schedule. And I'm not beholden to anybody. I have no advertisers. I do it when I want to do the show. Yeah. And when I have the time to schedule people and do all this. Yeah. Because it's not easy. It's always hard.
And it's funny. We got in the podcast game 2 years ago, almost 3. I haven't heard in Rochester. I don't know or have heard of any other like podcasts.
Yeah.
You know, that like locally even here that, you know,
or at least ones that have lasted more than, you know, put some effort into doing it, not just oh, hey, you want to do a podcast? Yeah, let's get together, let's do a podcast, and then they do it for like, you know, 4 episodes and then they just quit.
Slap a laptop in the middle of the table.
Yeah,
right.
Because like, it's like I wanted to like kind of, you know, cross promote with other and just get to know other podcasters, get knowledge, learn, see all new equipment.
Yeah,
and. We're here, and I'm like, he can't be the only other podcast that is in Rochester.
No, yeah. So they started Lunchador a little while ago, and it's you know, it's a bunch of guys trying to do cool stuff. So there's Anomaly Presents talking about the film festival and genre movies, Punches and Popcorn talking about like martial arts movies mostly.
And these are all in Rochester?
Oh yeah. Right now they're doing a talking about the Oscars show, a limited release one, which we need to talk about the Oscars, and it's really interesting. There's one I think called the Murphy Siblings coming out. There was a beer show called Beer Review Journal, which is pivoting into something a little different because we're talking about health and everything else. So they're pivoting that a little bit. And there's one called Caleb versus Self. Where he does like one deep dive with one person for an hour kind of thing.
That's cool.
So, we're trying to grow that a little bit and find out how do we work together and make it so that there's enough shows where we can grab, maybe get local advertisers that want to support people doing good things that are people doing good things.
Yeah.
Cause we're not all in it for, you know, they're trying to highlight, the martial arts genre of films and talk about that stuff. And it's kind of underappreciated how awesome those things are. And it's about the culture and about the time when these were made and the whole history of it. Anomaly bringing these small films and running a festival at the Little, doing all these things is really interesting. If we can do this, like I've been doing this a hot minute at this point. If we pivoted the camera over to the wall, you'll see 3 out of my 5 certificates for best podcast in Rochester.
Yeah, so how do you get
We'll
that?
definitely have to get a picture.
I got voted a few times.
No, you have to get into like the city magazine or something like that?
So that was through City, and it was a lot because I had a lot of industry people because of my time doing restaurant reviews. So I was at least known in a small community.
Yeah.
And people see it because they go in and vote for restaurants mostly.
Got it.
They do other stuff too, but like they'd see my name and like, oh, so I'm gonna vote for Chris, and it makes sense. Like, and I've never been perfectly consistent. I think the last year, the Refined Taste guys won. So Chris Thompson and Dario They won that. They won the last time.
Yeah.
They've done their show for, I think, about 2.5 years now as well.
Nice.
Started pandemic talking to a lot of small restaurants as well, and they're doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
But they're both comedians. They're doing a different thing than I do, and I love what they do. They're so good at it. I had them over a few episodes ago on the Food About Town podcast that you can subscribe to on any podcast app you have.
There you go.
Anytime any of us plug something now, I'm just going to bust that out.
Yeah.
I need my own button. I need just one singular button over here that's got that.
Yeah, a pad with one.
Yeah, just
button.
with one red button.
This is the easy button.
Yeah, yeah. You should just wire that up.
Yeah, so
that would be
hopefully
hilarious. Like you get one sound today. What's it gonna be?
Hopefully, we'll get a certificate sometime here soon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could print one off Google.
Oh yeah. Just take a picture of it, Photoshop it out, make sure it's really obvious.
I'm just gonna replace the name of your podcast with the name of our podcast.
Take a picture, print it out on a bad printer, dot matrix printer.
Yes.
Cut it out and just paste something over.
Yep. 100%.
Oh, that is funny.
100%.
Yeah. So
but congratulations, by the way, for those.
No, that's awesome, man.
That is cool.
It's been great. Now I've had a chance to build out the studio. I mean, now that you guys are sitting here, you got to see like what I've built over time.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't always this. Like I had, I had microphones.
Oh, we know.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah. Tell us how you started, because I'd love to tell you how we started.
So my first ones, the first ones I did, I put my phone on a table. This was
similar.
This was like an iPhone 4S. So this was like that kind of time. So I started in 2012.
Okay.
So we have something in common.
So I put that on a table and I recorded at like up where food truck was. This was in the initial wave of food trucks here in Rochester. This was the brick and mortar food truck. It was Paul Vroman, who now works at Wegmans Corporate. Oh. He was one of the best chefs in town. I loved all the food he made. But I talked to him, and then I eventually bought a Blue Yeti, and I brought it to different places. And you could hear, like I recorded at Moonlight Creamery out in Fairport on the canal, a beautiful ice cream shop. And you could hear the compressors turning on and off. Yeah. Oh, yeah. At that point, 100%. Drove me crazy. And then I bought microphones so I could record here, and I bought Audio-Technica ATR 2100s, which are like XLR USB mics. So they were just on little gooseneck stands. Where you could, pull them around and still do a good job. Yep. Then I switched them onto, cheap Amazon arms. Over the last year and a half or so, 2 years, I replaced all with Rode mics and arms and the Rode Procaster. I was using a different board for a while. But now I can have a phone connect here, take Bluetooth calls. It does all it's so easy. It makes it so easy to do all the stuff like Zoom calls, and it, adjusts the audio and makes it sound really good. And you can take it live and record right on it. It makes a huge difference. Wow. I'm a bit of a Rode fanboy because they're so good. The quality's great, and I buy from Sweetwater out of Indiana.
I think that's where I got our Rode mics.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
We just got their the Rode Go Wireless 2.
Yeah, I've got it in my backpack.
Yep. Yeah, we brought our. Yep, ours are always with us too, and we just switched over to those. And man, what a difference for a wireless mic! I don't think there's anything that sounds better.
No,
at least not for another $1,000 price cap.
Yeah. Just background for people. So like we're recording obviously for people on video. You're seeing this for the audio. This is essentially built as a audio studio, not as a video studio.
Right.
And, this is based on recording as high quality audio as we can do at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
So like you guys are sitting on pod mics. I've got the Procaster mic for me if I want to do voiceover work or anything like that.
Okay.
But the Rode Go is basically a wireless lav mic. So if you ever seen like, people that clip on the mics on their collar.
Oh yeah.
So that's that. These are basically remote receivers that transmit back to the thing that'll connect right to the camera.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And the audio that comes off of these things,
it's unbelievable.
It's tremendous. And if you want it to be light, you can run a wired mic and clip it on your collar and have it be super like unobtrusive. And it's the kind of thing, if you're doing video and you don't want to run wires, you want to run a live event, you can walk around, you got range. It's so easy to work with.
And clear.
Yep.
Yeah. Isn't it great? Like, because like you guys were running just on like a shotgun mic before, right?
Yeah. And when we first started, much like you, we were just on a phone on a $4 little tripod, with the little bendy legs that you could never get to go right. Yeah. So and we were recording the audio right off of the phone too.
And the video tilted just about 5 degrees to the side.
A little bit off. Yep.
Just and about 5 degrees.
He was editing them off his phone. Yeah. So we were recording on the phone. He was editing it off a free app off the phone.
Nice.
So there were we it had like the little clouds,
watermarks.
You know what I mean, or it'd be like the quick flip of the picture and boof, you know what I mean, like very 90s, like very Saved by the Bell ish, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
flash animation turn.
Yeah, it was bad.
So he invested in a computer so that he could act. Well, okay, so
they have audio on computers.
So first he bought a laptop so that he could start to do the editing on an actual software for video editing. But he didn't realize at the time that he needed a computer that was strong enough to support video editing. So then he had his cousin build a PC for him so that he could do that. And then he started teaching himself Filmora. Which is what we do all our video editing on.
Okay.
Small plug for a big company.
Wait for it. Wait for it. man, I'm struggling with these sound effects today.
If we don't get sponsored from that.
That one was pretty good. Yeah, Filmora, if you'd like to send us something cool, then that would be great.
Yeah.
So...
That's awesome.
So when he started finally like editing them for real, he was like, "Oh man, I can do green screen."
Ooh,
and we were like, "Oh, cool." So at that point, I think we were using my GoPro 5, which was an upgrade for us from his phone. And so we decided we were like, "Okay, we got to try this green screen thing." So our studio is in one of his spare rooms at his house, and he went to the dollar store and bought 2 green tablecloths, like the disposable ones, for $1.
Perfect.
But they only had one color of each. So one was like a light green and one was a dark green, and all we had to attach it were some thumbtacks. So we're standing up on these stools. On these stools, mind you, that we had in the studio that had no backs. So they didn't even have backs on them. They were just like a regular bar stool. So we're up tacking this thing up, and that kind of worked. So we ran that for, 10 or 20 shows with these things up. And then we were like, because I own a small painting company. Here comes another plug.
Ooh,
I own a small local painting company. Oh man, called Colors by OG. If you'd like to find me, you can go to facebook.com/colorsbyog. Yes, I'm loving it. I'm loving all the sound effects. Dude, we got to get one of these boards, man.
Yeah,
especially because when I stream, I have a Go XLR.
Okay.
Which is essentially the same thing.
Yeah, great.
Except less microphone inputs.
Great company,
yeah. So I have all the sound bites and stuff for when I stream.
So much
it's
fun.
Fantastic. And I have like thousands saved that I like interchange all the time. And sometimes I just get lost in doing that. But anyway, so we painted the bedroom in the chroma key green.
Oh, see, it's so much because you get a really consistent surface at that point too.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. So we had the exact stuff that they use. You know what I mean? The correct color code and everything for the chroma key green. And then we went from there. And then he bought a legitimate camera. A
Canon or a Sony something.
What is that? Is that a 3?
It's a DLS or a
DSLR, but yeah, is that the 3A?
That's what I was trying to go for.
But that's
the 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's the one that can record over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Without not turning off.
4K. Yeah. I was doing a ton of camera research. I ended up buying the Panasonic one because it was a little. I don't do that much video, so for me it was like, if I'm going to mess around with it, I'm not going to do the 2 steps further, better quality that had. So I ended up with one that I can, do one shot and get nice quality.
Oh, yeah.
And set it up, and I'll figure out how to do it where I have a consistent placement.
Yep.
So it'll be good if I want to do like spirit reviews over here. because I do spirit judging too. Out of all the other things I do.
How cool is that though?
So much fun. Coming up on judging season, we have a couple that happen here in Rochester. One with Camp Good Days, who is also at Homegrown.
That would be fun.
Yeah, they were advertising for some of the competitions, the wine and spirits thing there, and I do judging there with that group, and then with another group called Raise a Glass that does it all for charity. Both events are for charity.
That's kind of cool too.
And they do a lot of medical charity stuff, and that one's 2 days straight of wine, spirits, and cider judging.
So do you got a good palate for like all this stuff?
You got to really work on it.
Yeah, because I would just be like, I love this. This is so good.
This one tastes great. This one I think is my favorite. I've tried all of them, and this one's my favorite.
That would be
what's this one called?
Yeah.
It's called Watermat.
That's our.
I love this place.
Yeah, that's our Steve Brule. That's our Steve Brule moment. I don't like wine, but you're gonna love it. So you really do have to pace yourself all day because like, hey, we're going from like 9 till like 4 o'clock.
Damn.
Yeah.
2 days straight. And like you really have to pace yourself the whole time, really work at it and make sure you're doing it. But yeah, when it talks about the palate, like I've been a nerd since I started doing food stuff. Like I said, I started doing restaurant reviews like 2012. And
nice.
I always love picking out like the technical aspects and the seasoning and how did you do this and how did you do that and loving all the process. And that wrapped into coffee, which is how I started to get into serious beverages was, I'm a serious coffee drinker. So learning how to drink coffee well, then learning about beer, then learning about wine and learning about spirits. Now spirits is kind of my number one nerdery.
Yeah.
But like I've tasted with so many really good professionals in and around the industry that have offered me the chance to taste amazing things, but also take time to help me learn how to taste.
Yeah, because it's not easy. I used to work at Market View Liquor.
Yeah.
And, they would do tastings all the time. And he even sent me to a class for like tasting of wines and how to separate and all that. There's a lot of work.
So much that goes into it.
It's not just, tasting.
It's not just drinking.
No, like that's the part I love though, is like I'm a nerd first. Like all the stuff that we're talking about, it's because like I can't help myself. I need to learn about all the different things Rochester has to offer. I need to learn about the spirits and how to break it apart, how to do that work. And, part of what we're judging is quality. And quality is, obviously subjective to a point, meaning do you like it?
Right.
But quality at some point isn't. Like quality is objective.
Yeah.
Because does it have faults? If you can identify the faults, that's just a fact. There is a fault, right? Is it complex? Does it finish long? Is it distilled well? Is it clear? Is there, are there off flavors?
Yeah.
Some of those things somebody can still like it, but objectively it's not a quality product.
Right.
And those are different things. Like I don't like some products that are very well made, but that doesn't mean they're not badly made.
Yeah.
They're just garbage.
Yeah.
Right. They're different things.
Garbage that people like.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's plenty of that to go around.
Yes, for sure.
But that's part of the fun is like you get a chance to really taste so many different things, and you get to learn more about your palate, how to break it down, how to taste minerality, how to taste all these different things. It's a blast. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I'll have to have you guys over and we'll do a line tasting of like a whole category of spirits, and we'll work through a whole one thing.
That'd be really cool.
So we won't do lots of different things. We'll do one kind.
Yeah.
Like you just do rye, and we'll do 8 back to back to back, and you'll taste different styles of rye going from the most big producers to small craft to finishes and different ideas. You can do rye, you can do rum, we can do gin and taste taste 7 different gins and just work through it.
I'm busy on the gin day. I'm busy.
Oh
my calendar's full on the gin day.
I love gin.
Now, is that how you started to learn and
for sure
all the different tastes and all that?
It helps a lot when you're doing side by sides. And I think generally if you're trying to learn about something, because again, you don't have to learn about something to enjoy it, but if you really want to dive deep, is doing comparison, right? So you can go to a store, and if they had one TV on the wall, you'd be like, man, that's a good looking TV.
I want that.
And then if they put one next to it, you're like, man, that one next to it looks like garbage because it's compared to something else. You have a reference point. It's hard to bring all the references in your head, but as soon as something's next to something else, you can tell the differences really easy. You're like, oh, this coffee is roasted more. It's more chocolatey. It's more rich. It's more, lower acid. Right? This one over here is bright. It's got stone fruit notes. It's got,
it's got what?
Stone fruits.
Stone fruits, man. Jeez.
As soon as you're talking about, so stone fruits are anything with like a pit, like a peach or a nectarine or a plum.
I didn't know that. I was just, I wanted to be on the cool side of the table that knew what stone fruits were.
I'll be the dumb one. I don't care.
So I was learning along with you, but
I'm starting to bring all of my, now we're getting into like tasting terminology.
Yeah.
But like you can really you can isolate things like, hey, this one's brighter. Why is it brighter? Oh, because it's a lighter roasted coffee. Or like, could be a Riesling from the Finger Lakes where, in 2019, it was a cool year and all the wines, the Rieslings tended to be leaner. So not as fruity, a little more sharp and, citrus and minerally. So less sweet that year. 2020, sweeter year.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically, if it's warmer and they get more ripe, you get more sweetness to start with.
That's the only wine I really drink is Riesling. I've tried the red, and I've tried it with like a steak.
Sure.
And I've tried it with all the food you're supposed to eat it with. And I mean, I'd like wine. I just the red wine, and then your lips get all purple and your teeth get all jacked up.
So I mean, realistically,
if you drink an excessive amount of it.
Well,
at once.
And that's the other thing. I know when he walked in, I'm like, man, that guy is just defines vanity. He's just obsessed with all that stuff. It's like, man, there's a guy that doesn't drink red wine because he doesn't want to affect his movie star teeth.
That's right.
And he's ready. He's camera ready. We're turning the cameras on.
Man.
He's got the just capped all his teeth vibes. He's ready.
Pinky's up. Pinky's up always.
Oh God. So yeah, I could talk tasting all day, but like part of it is how do you have fun with something? And for me, fun is about the details. I love that's my fun. That's what I enjoy. I love the conversation. I love the details because that's like every interview I do. I try not to plan too much because I want to work with the person. I want to.
Yeah, you get that raw experience from someone, man. That's what we do as well with with most of our shows too, and especially when we do interviews. We'll come in with like a general concept of where would we like to sort of keep the conversation steered towards, and then we just let it go. And then if it happens to take a left and fall off the rails, then sweet.
I just feel
we're just along for the ride.
Yeah, but it's also the unscripted stuff is just more fund.
Oh, for sure.
Keeps you on your toes, and then it's just it's more raw.
Yeah.
It's not because you could tell scripted.
Oh yeah.
Where were you born? Where it's boring.
Yeah, format has value, right? Staying within a construct offers creativity if you don't force it too hard.
Right.
If you don't force it to be in there. I know early on there was a couple times where I felt like I really had to plan it out and do that because I was interviewing somebody who was more experienced than I was doing this.
Yeah.
Like that was years ago. It was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I did a couple hours with Evan Dawson here in the studio, who's Connections on WXXI. Kind of Rochester's public radio talk show that is really showing what Rochester is on a daily basis.
That's a good connection to have. I mean,
amazing
WXXI is Rochester.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of the most important shows in town because it gets local perspective, sometimes on global and national issues, but also talking about local things. But I had a chance to, I did a 2-hour long interview with him here in the studio and got a chance to really talk to him. But I had laid out, so many questions. And at some point, if you're focusing too much on the questions you have written, you're not catching that moment where his tone changes, or somebody's tone changes a little bit. And then when you can grab on that thread and make it interesting, those are the moments that are hard to, you can't replicate those.
Right.
You can't plan on somebody having a moment. You have to sit with it. You have to like live in it for a minute and try to grab something fun out of it or interesting or whatever.
It's almost just like this.
Well, there was one show that we did. I think it was one of our conspiracy theory shows where we had an audio issue and we didn't capture any of our audio. And
conspiracy.
No, but it was funny because it was like our third conspiracy show that we did because the first two were so popular and we liked them so much. We were like, all right, let's do another one. And it turned into this whole thing afterwards. We were like, oh my God, are they watching us? You know what I mean? Like I know we're on a list just by our Google searches for the show alone. Oh. We're definitely on somebody's list. So we didn't even
exactly.
But we didn't even try to redo the show because there were so many moments of the show that were funny and were unplanned, and it just sort of happened that we were like, you know what? We're never going to get this again, so let's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's just let it go.
And it's always like that, too, is any show you do, especially for us, if something goes wrong, even halfway through and we catch it, we just scrap the whole show because we're never going to get that original,
authentic. we don't try to replicate what we had already done. You know what I mean? We'll just pick a new subject and just do a new show.
Yeah. And it's, you have to like completely reset and, you can take a lesson from it and then look at what's, how could we cover this differently?
Yeah.
Right. Cause we all tread on, well-run territory on many different things. Right. Mm-hmm. If you listen to the Food About Town podcast, you'll hear me talk about a lot of this stuff before. Like, this isn't, like, none of us are completely original. We're telling our same stories. We're telling our own, all that kind of stuff. And that's how things go. Like, you can't. But as much as we can help it in bringing people in to talk about stuff together, make something interesting. Like, you don't know the thread that's going to be funny that day.
Oh, right.
Yep. You don't know how it's going to work.
For sure.
Like, you walk in, you're like, oh, yeah, we're doing your show. I'm like, no, you're doing your show in my studio. This is how it's going to work. This is what we're doing today.
I love the moments that end up being funny that you absolutely just couldn't even have possibly planned on. So I think one of the funniest moments, and we can probably both agree on this from all of our, 200-300 plus shows, is we were doing this one, and I don't even remember what the whole show was about. I just remember the part. But we were talking about, I think it was a history show, and he brought up that it was the 170 whatever anniversary of the longest running magazine in the world.
Okay.
And it was the American American Angler.
Great, of course it is.
Right? So cool. So a fishing magazine.
Makes sense.
It's funny. And I was like, we started talking about it, and then we were making jokes about like, oh, well, how could we get in to the American Angler? Like, how do we get our logo on a page in the American Angler? And I was like, dude, could you imagine it'd be like One Drink Pod? Cast.
Oh, man.
Oh my God.
And I said the cast part, and the both of us just lost our minds.
Yeah,
it was over.
Exactly.
But it was so, but he never thought when he was like, oh, cool, on this day, the American Angler celebrated their 170th birthday, or whatever it was. Yeah, it's like, cool, I'll put that in the show, and then it turns into our most clipped and one of our personal favorite moments, of our entire 3-year run.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's a YouTube Shorts or like mini TikTok right there.
Oh yeah,
easy.
For sure.
Like,
that one's up on TikTok.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap up your show. So this has been an episode of the One Drink Podcast, recorded live at the Food About Town studio in glorious Irondequoit, New York.
There we go.
Guys, why don't you, any plugs before like you're doing the podcast?
Finish it off?
Because like I'm gonna post this on mine too. So any plugs for how people can find your show?
You can find us on Facebook and YouTube, both at One Drink Podcast. We are also on every major platform where you typically listen to podcasts. So be sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification. Be the first ones notified when our new episodes drop.
And just share.
Yeah, share with one friend. We always tell people at the end of our shows, all we ask is that you share with one friend. That's it.
Yeah, I think if everybody did that with all the stuff that's cool that's going on, I think we could get so much more traction. Here
for
and
sure.
Everywhere.
And now, how hard is it to hit the share button?
Oh, you know what? It's like in one corner, it's in the other corner.
Yeah.
It's like every place has a different thing.
It's like way down here.
They make it really hard to find.
Yeah.
You know, they never label it
so
with
in this show too, it's actually probably right about here.
Over.
It's probably right
over there.
Here. Right there is about where it is. So if you could just just follow my finger. Just watch it be on the wrong side of the screen
exactly.
too.
It will be.
At that point, he mirrors.
Yeah,
the show.
you got to reverse the whole thing. If not,
now I gotta edit more. Damn.
Right,
Yeah.
moves his hand digitally.
Yeah,
so takes a little digital hand, shifts it across.
Just cuts
screen.
my hand off and just puts it on the other side of the screen.
No, but we want to thank you for having us for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love the setup.
Appreciate it.
Love the time here. It was a lot of fun.
Great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you want to find me, listen to more of what I have to say, you can follow me on the Food About Town podcast, Food About Town on all of your favorite podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more about what Rochester food really is, go to nominatemeals.com and order your meal for an upcoming event every other week at Three Heads. Coming up, we have a new partner that came out of Homegrown. It's going to be Fatty Beer over in the neighborhood of play area. Wait for it. So Fatty Beer over there, amazing place out of Buffalo. It's a great bottle shop, a really cool place to hang out. We do one event in Buffalo every month, so go to nominatemeals.com, order your meal for an event coming up. And if you want to learn more about Rochester food, send me an email, stromy@gmail.com or stromy@nominatemeals.com. And follow the Lunch Hour Podcast Network for more cool things happening in Rochester. We've got a lot of interesting opportunities coming up. And guys, thanks so much for coming over. This was a blast.
Thank you so much for having us. This has been an awesome time.
Appreciate it, boys.
Yep.
And
until next time.
Bam.
Cheers.
See ya.